Hi, it's Dr. Lori. I'm back with more costume jewelry designers and their marks. These are the ones you want to be looking for. I've got a list for you. Here's number one. So number one is Ballou, B-A-L-L-O-U. Don't miss it. So a couple things about this one. First of all, these designs are typically asymmetrical. So you're not going to see too much symmetry with this designer, but it's very recognizable and really nice designs. Oftentimes you're going to see cast metal pieces in gold tone metal or silver tone metals, and you're going to see enamel work with an applied element. What does that mean? A faux pearl might be there, maybe some seed pearls might be there, or maybe a faceted cut stone of some sort, or of course glass. But Ballou, good one to watch. That's number one on our list. Number two on our list is Monet. You all know Monet. You know Monet from the very famous, of course, script logos that you'll see on many of their pieces, or the block letter logos that they've used over time too. Monet is very traditional, very classical, and you're also going to you see Monet costume jewelry pieces that you should look for in base metals with decoration. They use nice tubular elements. They use nice chains. You know, they'll use link chains are good. Sometimes it's a twisted rope, but things that you can wear every day that are classic all the time, even though they're not, of course, 14 karat gold. A lot of the times they are, of course, gold tone metal or silver and silver plated pieces. I like Monet very much. Wear a lot of Monet because it has that classic look of fine jewelry. Costume prices, but fine jewelry. I like those too. That's number two on our list. Number three on my list is Giovanni. Giovanni is a great maker and one that a lot of you might overlook. It's easy to recognize the Giovanni name, and it has something that's called incising or intaglio. That's where they actually cut in, scraping actually the casting pieces so you can see a great deal of detail, particularly on their pins. Their floral pins will show you a rose, for example, and they'll even show you the thorns. Number four on my list, number four is Bluette. Bluette is a costume jewelry designer, and many of their pieces are made in France. What's cool about Bluette, very easy to find. The mark is very easy to find. It's usually quite large, very typical, and on the back of most of their pieces, even on the back of their earrings. It will say made in France on them, so you can spot that. Sometimes you'll just see made in France on pieces and you're thinking, I'm not sure who made them, but Bluette, made in France, always together. The other thing about Bluette pieces that you want to look for is contrast of course, metals. So you might see silver tone metal with gold tone metal. You might even see some of the other metallics being utilized. And they really make a lot of decoration focus, and they focus on a lot of the decoration of the metals. You'll see pieces by Bluette also that will have different stones that are applied into the design, but typically it's all about metals, and that's important because a lot of people will like to wear those pieces because they have more of an everyday look and everyday style. They sort of fit into every occasion. It's not only, you know, big clunky chunky set stones. Sometimes the metals are really pretty popular if you're a reseller or if you're collecting for your own collection. Number five is Bogoff. Bogoff is a great designer that I like very much for a couple of reasons. I like the crystals, I like the rhinestones, and I like floral designs where rhinestones are set inside. So that's what you see with Bogoff. Bogoff has very straightforward tag. You can see it on the back of their pieces. It'll just say Bogoff in all capital letters. And Bogoff has these great sets. So you'll get the earrings, you'll get a bracelet, you'll get a necklace, and oftentimes it's repeated forms of flowers or repeated forms of abstract or geometric style elements, and then they'll put a crystal inside or a rhinestone inside, and they'll set them with a lot of them. So you're going to get a real statement kind of piece if you're looking for Bogoff. Bogoff statement pieces are oftentimes usually not long pieces. Usually the necklaces will stop out at about 24 inches long, but usually you'll see those 18 to 20 inch necklaces are really what they're known for, and also bracelets of the same type. but repeated forms, repeated elements that have many set rhinestones within each element. So they're really nice, and linked pieces too. That's number 5 on our list. And number 6 on our list of costume jewelry designers and their marks is Brooks. Brooks is a costume jewelry designer that these pieces can be worn anywhere. One of the things and the details that's easy to find, well, the name is easy to find, Brooks is easy to find, all caps, back of most of the pieces. Their pins are really well known for the use of wire. And wire is something that a lot of people like because they make an open work design by using wires. So you have an outline of a figural piece. Maybe it's a butterfly or a flower or a bird or a frog or something. And then they use wires instead of a three-dimensionality to, in fact, create this idea of open work, or to show sort of a transition or a little bit more depth to an actual piece. It's a neat way to do it. It's something that does keep costs down, remember, but it's also a pretty nice type of costume jewelry design motif. So if you see the wires, you probably are looking at a piece made by Brooks. These pieces are oftentimes, again, pins that can be worn anytime, anywhere. They're not really for sort of out on the town. They're more for just sort of freshening up an outfit. I like Brooks very much, and that's number 6 on costume jewelry designers list and their marks. Number 7 is another great costume jewelry designer, Hollycraft. Hollycraft is very well known, easily recognizable pieces. I like Hollycraft because a lot of their items are actually for functional use. Things like eyeglass holders, so it's a pin, but it's an eyeglass holder. And those pieces are really quite fine. So the other pieces that you typically see with Hollycraft, and some of the characteristics of Hollycraft, are going to be basically forms that have peaks and valleys in them. So what does that mean? Well, when they're constructing the actual pin, or they're constructing the earring, or the pendant, or the necklace, you can see that the way in which they construct them, they kind of go up and they go down and up and down. And this creates a nice flow to the eye and a nice design for the piece. The other thing that Hollycraft does that a lot of other designers don't do is they'll use larger pieces of faceted cut glass or crystal, larger pieces with smaller pieces. So they have, again, this sort of symmetry of working with large and small. The symmetry of these pieces oftentimes comes with repeated forms, and then they'll use big pieces of an accent stone or a faux pearl in the middle, and then they'll use, of course, smaller ones around the accent elements. So it's really a nice design form. Hollycraft is another one that you should look for, and it makes, of course, our list at number 7. Number 8, it's Kirks Folly. I know you've heard of Kirks Folly before. Kirks Folly are really playful, fun jewelry. I associate this with others that I've talked about, like Hobe pieces, which I talk about in one of my other videos. But basically, the list, this is number 8. And Kirks Folly, charm bracelets, necklaces that are pretty statement necklaces, but in casual dress. So you'll see them sort of on sundresses in the summer, or maybe you'll see them just dressing up maybe a sweater in the wintertime. Nice pieces, but the Kirks Folly bracelets are really what people look for. They look for the charm bracelets. They look for the bracelets that are accented usually with aurora borealis crystals onto their metal. So you can see maybe, a large bracelet, and that'll have aurora borealis pieces, crystals, as a accent to the metal bracelet that Kirks Folly makes. Their clasps are really strong. I like that about Kirks Folly. And I also like a very distinctive, very recognizable cursive script logo tag of Kirks Folly. And number 9 on my list of costume jewelry designers and their marks is Vendome. Vendome's mark, easy to recognize. It has a big oversized V and then the rest of the word Vendome. And Vendome is a nice style, a nice maker that you're going to look for. And one of the things that I like about it is this three-dimensionality. So basically they'll take these organic forms like floral forms, and they're kind of build them up on their each piece, on earrings, on pins, on bracelets, and such. Enamel work is very important to Vendome's style. And a lot of it is what you don't expect. So for example, black roses, or maybe other colors are utilized in places that you don't really expect. So that's really a nice form because it kind of gives a different twist on a really classic look. Vendome pieces are very good in terms of their construction and quality for costume jewelry. So oftentimes they'll have an accent piece, maybe a crystal here or another, or a piece of turquoise there. Very small pieces are usually used for accents. The real design when it comes to Vendome pieces are, of course, the enamel work. Symmetry is important, and so are organic forms, or of course biomorphic forms that are sort of curved and natural looking. You're going to see a lot of that, a lot of flowers when it comes to Vendome. Vendome is one of course, the many costume jewelry designers and their marks that I want you to look for, and look for them because they're going to mean value when you're trying to resell or, of course, collect for yourself. I'm Dr. Lori. That's my list of costume jewelry designers and their marks. See you next time.